What's up, everyone? It's Sonar Mixes, and welcome to the part where I show you all how to set up your faders for mixing and creating mix buses or sub mixes or group tracks for mixing. Staying organized is key in mixing or like doing anything. So like you always want to make sure that you're organized from the start of every project. Setting up faders, this is where actual mixing takes place, because you get to balance the levels of every instrument in the mix in this phase. In the first video I told you that mixing is basically balancing. This is basically what they call mixing, like making sure no instrument is louder than the other, or one other instrument that's supposed to be loud is low and stuff like that. It's basically balancing. When you're setting up your fader levels, make sure you do them without any effects. Like they should just be dry, raw. Like listen to it like you're listening to some song that there's no effect on it. Like if your fader setup can sound good without effects, when you add those effects and extra processing on them, they will sound extra, like more better. But if it doesn't really sound good when you just mess around with the faders, like you set up your mix, then it means that something is wrong somewhere, either from your recording or from the production standpoint, or from your live recording of the bass, piano or guitar, or any part of the song. This is the loudness process, rather what I call it, like the loudness arrangement that I follow. I'm really bad with coming up with stuff. The instrument that always stays on top when I'm mixing is the vocal. The vocal is an instrument. Forget the fact that it's humans that's like making vocals. It's also an instrument when it comes to making music. It goes like this: the vocals stay on top of the kick stays on top of the bass guitar stays on top of the snare drum, then the snare drum stays on top of rest of other instruments like the synths, the guitar, the brass, the flute, everything in the mix. This is how it should be arranged when you're mixing Afrobeat music. And basically other genres of music. I'll go over it again: the vocals, the kick, the bass, the snare, then the rest of the instruments. And how can you easily achieve this? You start with balancing the drums first, like the kick, the snare, the percussions and other things. Then you move over on to the other instruments in the mix that's more melodious, like your bass, your piano, your pad, your other stuff. Before you mix the vocals. The last part of a mix that you mix always ends up being the loudest. So that's why we'll be mixing the vocals last. And while doing so, we will be making sure that the audio does not clip, does not go above 0 dB here, or in fact does not go above -3 dB here. Like it stays in between -6 dB and -3 dB, and we'll do this without tampering with this master fader here. Let's get started. Let's get it started in here. Let's listen to the track and get the part that's more busy, that has most of the instruments playing. That's the area in the track that we will start our fader setup from. So let's listen.
Baby, do you know? Cause some music, I got it from there, and more like She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. She's a
Okay.
belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a
Yeah,
belly dancer. She's
we'll
a
start
belly
from here.
dancer.
Yeah.
Get up, get up, get up. Yes.
Most times it's better you just start the balancing from the chorus part of the mix, because most times the chorus has all the elements that make up the track playing at once. Yeah, so just watch and learn. Yeah. So first of all, I will reset everything I've done here, for example. So there. So now let's get started. Yeah.
She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's
We're not hearing this one yet, so let's just. Okay, there, I'm done with the beat part. Now let's move over to the vocals.
She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me.
Almost sounding
She's a
good
belly
already.
dancer. She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. Get up, get up, get up. Oh yes, oh yes. She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer.
Now, if we check, like we are almost clipping around here.
She's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer.
Almost, look,
Baby,
we are
bang bang for
clipping.
me.
So how do we
She's a
fix
belly
this?
dancer. She's a belly dancer.
What we do is we bring down everything until we are seeing the peak around here, around like -4, -5, -3, around that level. Yeah. So watch.
She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Get up, get up, get up. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Get up, get up, get up. Oh yes, oh yes. Baby, do you know? Oh yes. I do you know? Oh yes. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Get up, get up, get up. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Baby, bang bang for me. She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer. Get up, get up, get up.
Okay, it's getting there. Yeah. Now let's run through the rest of the mix and be sure it's on a level. Right.
And if I catch you for there, baby, don't. Oh, yeah, Baba one. And if you dance for me, I give you money.
Okay, everything is cool. Everything is cool. So now our faders are set up. Yeah. So this is basically how setting up faders in the mix works. Yeah.
SONAR mixes.
So now let's move over to creating mix buses or sub mixes or group tracks or whatever you call it. Yeah. So sub mixes are useful for routing related tracks or instruments together when you need to apply the same kind of effects or processing to instruments that normally take the same effects. Examples of these instruments that I said of the effects that are found in submixes are compression, EQ, reverb. Like now, if you still don't understand, in summary, when mixing Afrobeat music or any other genre of music, you route related tracks like drums, and under drums we have your kick, snare, toms, to one mixer track that will house all the effects. Yeah, and this one track is the track that will house the compression, EQ, and reverb. So like that, the kick, snare, toms, hi-hats, and every other thing in the drums that's supposed to glue together and sound big and out of this world. Like they end up taking the same kind of processing, which makes them sound even better. Yeah. So let me show you guys how to create a submix on FL Studio. You can do the same on any program you're using, if it's Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic, anyone. I will include link to learn how to do it on your favorite DAW on the notepad or PDF that I will make after this tutorial. Yeah, so just watch and see how amazing this submix creation can be and how it can help you improve your mix. Yeah.
She's a belly dancer, she's a belly dancer, baby.
And yeah, I will be creating the submix for just the drum tracks here.
She's a belly dancer.
Okay, now I know all the tracks I'll be working on. Now let me select all of them. Now they are selected, like we will choose a track we want to use as our submix master track. Yeah, so now you right click on the track, then you go to track routing, then you click on create submix. There, we've created a submix and we'll have to give it a name. Yeah. Drum blah blah. Yeah, and I like brick red for my drums, I don't know why. There, so now we've created the submix. Like if you notice, every single track is routed to the first track. Like they are no longer routed to the master, but instead they are routed to this main drum track here. Why this main drum track is routed to the master. Yeah, so let's check everything. I'm sure everything has routed. So there, we have our submix made, and you can see these separators here. This line that's separating this submix track from the rest. Yeah, it's always there when you create submixes on FL Studio. So now let's let me show you all some visual representation of how this stuff works when you input effects. So then I should, because of an effect we are all familiar with, reverb. So let me turn on the effect button for this channel, which will affect everything here. Now let's listen to it. Now you see how it's sounding like all reverb, so that when you bring down the reverb effect, like you see how, yeah. So now like you can effect everything here at once. Like you can compress, you can EQ, do whatever you want with it. Yeah. So now you know how to create sub mixes, or rather mix buses, which will make your life easier. Yeah, like you can create your mix bus for your vocals, for your drums, like mainly for your vocal backups. So like if you have multiple voices like singing the same thing, like a harmony or something, you can route everything to one bus for just that purpose, and you input the effect you want, and you glue everything together and you make it sound like one. Yeah, so you can use this mix bus effect for this mix bus technique for basically any group of instruments you would like to have the same type of effect, or like you would like to sound like one, to sound in like they are one. Yeah. Yeah. So this is basically creating sub mixes and setting up faders as the first part of my mixing and mastering, rather like my mixing process. Yeah, basics. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.